I know some of you may have attended webinars on finance management. I would like us to look at these from a different perspective. Why is it that sometimes we do not do what we wanted to do? Why is it sometimes our actions are a bit different from our expectation? We ourselves. In case you're meeting the first time, my name is Professor David Wongombe. I'm a professor of accounting at Strathmore University, and I also am a business consultant. We want to look at the background of financial management. We want to look at money and personal behavior relating to our borrowing, our investing, our savings, and even our spending. At the end of the day, we'd like to see what is your take home today. I will be excited to hear you tell us, what have you taken home today, my good friends? What have you taken home today? Then we shall have response to questions and answers. Normally I use case studies, but today I want to emphasize on what I've put on green, your take home today from our discussion. Did you know that doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are and a lot to do with how you behave? There are many smart people out there who never succeeded in money matters. If anything, they have a lot of failures to talk about. I'm not saying that failures is a result of your inability, but it has something to do with how we behave. So don't forget about this. And behavior is hard to teach. Even to the really smart people, the straight A's, some of them have terrible, or some of them have behavior opposite of even what they would have wanted. Behavior is not easy to teach. People know how finance is managed, the things I've just mentioned before, yet they take decisions based on emotions. Emotions are good, but they need to be directed in the right place. So my good friends, personal behavior, those of you in this background, probably you remember you call it the psychology of money. Why is it we take a loan for business, but we end up using it to buy a plot somewhere else? We end up using it for improvement of the house, not for business, which means we cheated the business. And eventually you realize that because the business was not given the capacity it deserves, it is unable to respond to pay that loan. And then all of a sudden, we find ourselves in a situation where we are not able to do the things we wanted to do. Picture this. We come from different generations, raised by different parents, born into different economics, have different experiences with money. A person who never starved, who never slept hungry, cannot fathom what it means. A person who never did a transaction with money will always struggle in executing it. People know that we should make investment decisions based on our goals and characteristics of investment options we have. Why am I putting money in these shares, or in this stock? Okay? Usually there are goals and there are characteristics of the investment, different kinds of investment. But is that what we do? Is that what we do? Okay? Sometimes there's rash decisions. You're putting your school fees, perhaps for next term, into some shares, and you're saying, when schools open, I will sell the shares. Or unto you, if price goes down, because you have no choice. You have to sell the shares, and you lose the money. Okay? People who have faced economic crisis have different biases and thoughts about risk and rewards than those who have seen stable prices their entire life. Is there luck in business? Is there a risk? Be careful who you give credit. Be careful who you look down or perhaps argue they never, worked harder. Sometimes there's the element of risk and luck. So much as we recognize the role of luck, risk means we should forgive ourselves when judging failure. How we behave towards risk invites luck. Maybe you could say Bill Gates was lucky. 85% borrow from a bank money they needed yesterday. Okay? You borrow today what you needed yesterday. You're going to the bank today to ask for the money you needed yesterday. And then you complain that, banks are taking so long to give us money. If you're going to the loan, to look for a loan at a moment of panic, at a moment of desperation, there's going to be a problem because the loan has a process. Yes, it is true we may want to get instant loans, but if a loan requires security, my friend, how long does it take to register the security? That is not a bank issue. That is an issue of your government. Good investing isn't necessarily about earning the highest return, because on average, the highest returns tend to be one-off hits that cannot be repeated, windfalls. Okay? It's about earning pretty good return that you can stick with and which can be repeated for the longest period of time. That's why when you're planning long-term, the idea is not to get mega percentages of return. Okay? The opposite of this, earning huge returns that can't be held onto. Warren Buffett started investing at the age of 10. You can say he was lucky, maybe he had a good environment. But how about we teach our own children about the power of savings and investment when young enough for them to execute it and learn the value of time and compounding. Continuing on this, is it not true about the old adage, whatever comes easy, goes easy? One of the best ways in managing personal money, particularly for people like us, is to set limits. I will support yes, because I know there is an emotional connection with your family and others that compels you to feel not very good that you have not helped. Some of us even feel it's like you'll be cast. Set a limit. How much money are you setting for giving? Don't go beyond that. And have the discipline and the courage to say no. Another thing in our behavior is trials and successes. It is very well known that in business investments, there are very few events that cause the majority of outcomes. There are many times we try 100 times, succeed only once. There are many people who experimented with lots of things. Many failed. But field trials succeeded and made a huge impact on their business. Many innovative companies have got a department in charge of research and innovation. They come up with beautiful ideas. Many of them fail. So the fact that we have failed in one or two should not cause the kind of desperation or giving up. There are many times you may want to reflect on a question. Do you work for money or money works for you? Just think about it. Do you work for money or money works for you? Having control over your time, no matter what conditions of life is the common denominator of happiness. The ability to do what you want, when you want, with whom you want, for as long as you want, is priceless. But without proper use, there's the risk of losing freedom of money and become a slave of money. This is what I would call the lowest dividend. And it comes from the paradox of what I own. My friends, no one is impressed with your possessions as much as you are. We tend to want wealth to signal to others that they should be liked and admired. But in reality, those other people often bypass admiring you. When you have that big car, rarely do people look at the driver, which could be you. It's the car. It's not because they don't think wealth is admirable, but because they use your wealth as a benchmark for their own desire to be liked and admired. What you want is admiration and respect from other people. And you think that having expensive stuff like cars or big homes will bring it. It rarely does. It rarely does. And unfortunately, many times it breaks the compounding I had talked about earlier on, because you divert money. I'm not saying living a good life is bad. Don't mistake me. Okay? But thinking that having that big time stuff which pushes you into debt, my friend, is not of much value. So spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way of having less money. Picture this. There's a difference between being wealthy and being rich. Rich is the current income, while wealth is the income not spent. Wealth is invisible because we can't see people's bank account and the money they are not spending. Everyone can look and become rich by buying big houses, expensive cars, but not wealthy yet. Because to become wealthy, you have to save. My friends, whether it is saving in the business or saving outside the business, saving in business is when you plow back to do expansion. Okay? So save money, save again. No matter how much income or investment returns you get, there's no becoming wealthy unless you save. If the investment returns you get just goes to spending to look rich, a saving for no goal at all helps because it is one of the way of helping you know the value, what I call the hidden return in savings. Hidden return. The hidden return is not the interest rate that you get from the savings. No, let's look at the hidden return. You see, the economy of today is the winner take all. I grab the opportunities and I get the return is mine. You miss the opportunity, you lose that return. Okay? Now, trying out new business or new investments requires flexibility to work on new changes, to work on new skills, to attack new markets, okay? So that you can grab that opportunity. The just in case thing, my good friends, involves you setting a margin of safety, okay? What would happen if the business I thought would come doesn't come and I've taken a loan? Now, notice the answer to that. If you have already spent the loan in buying another house and the business doesn't happen, there's going to be trouble. You might end up selling that house at lower price. Okay? I see and get really concerned. My good friends, probably have noted that. The Monday Daily Nation, 7+ pages full of auctioneer adverts, people's businesses being, or people's properties being auctioned. And you check a good number of them was the way they created the safety as they're taking the loan. Okay? The safety in the sense, just in case. It's good to believe things will work well. That is a driving force that builds ambition. But hey, suppose it doesn't work. So the most important part of every plan is planning on your plan, not going accordingly. Planning on your plan, because sometimes a part of your plan may fail. So when you're doing the plan, consider that margin of safety. Consider things may not go as you planned. Remember COVID-19. Who had planned for it? These things are often overlooked. That's why you should consider the margin of errors. Odds that things may not be in your favor.